Hey, welcome to the Cyber Savvy Woman, where women business owners reclaim their power in the digital world. We shatter the myth that cybersecurity is too complex to master and transform protection strategies into clear, actionable guidance. This is your digital empowerment sanctuary, where cyber fear becomes cyber confidence. Whether you're protecting client trust as a therapist or safeguarding financial data as an advisor, you'll hear from women founders who've conquered digital challenges and security experts who speak your language. Every woman leading a business deserves to feel unshakable in her digital decisions, no matter her technical background. Are you ready to stop letting cybersecurity intimidate you and start letting it elevate you? Here's your host, Rachele Schainker.
Okay, welcome back to the Cyber Savvy Woman, where we talk about practical ways women can protect themselves, their businesses, and their future in an increasingly digital world. I'm your host, Rachele Schainker, a Silicon Valley technologist and owner of the award-winning managed service provider, CMIT Solutions of San Mateo. Today, we're talking to Wes Schaeffer, a sales and marketing strategist who's been helping business owners grow revenue through smarter systems, automation, and messaging for nearly 2 decades. Wes comes from a high-tech sales background, has been podcasting since 2009, has worked deep in platforms such as HubSpot and Keep, so he's seen multiple waves of the next big thing in business technology. We'll dive into what business owners should actually automate first, how AI agents are different from just using ChatGPT, and the guardrails women leaders should put in place so innovation doesn't turn into unnecessary risk. Wes, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Let's start out with the what do you do and how did you get there version. You mentioned to me earlier how you got out of the Air Force and then spent most of your career in high-tech sales. What pulled you into that world?
I was recruited. It was funny. I was working at a recruiting company and I got recruited by my client.
Sure. They saw.
So that was the summer of 2000.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that the dot-com bubble had burst. It had already peaked. We just didn't know it yet. So I had 6 great months, made a lot of money, and then it was feast or famine after that. It was so bad in the early 2000s, but I survived. I learned a lot. And the chaos of that, after 6 years of just literal chaos, worked at a couple of different tech companies. And, I was like, man, if it's this hard working for someone, it can't be any harder working for myself. So 2006, I started the Sales Whisperer.
Yeah. And, what kind of problems were you trying to solve for clients? What was the intent of Sales Whisperer?
Early on, it was just old school sales training. I had learned, from 98 to 2006, I had made at least $100,000 in sales. And, 1998, $100,000 would be about 180 today. So, pretty good money when you're 28 years old, and paid the bills. I was married. We had 2 kids. By 2004, we had 5. We had 2
Wow.
more. And so, I was putting food on the table for a family of 7 and then 9 and, just from sales. And so in 2006, I bought a guy's class. It was a 12-week live class, 1 call a week, with a PDF, no Facebook groups, no Slack, none of this, Telegram, Discord, Signal, LinkedIn groups, none of that. You got 1 live call and a PDF. But Steve took a liking to me, gave me a free private call. I just had questions. Things weren't quite clicking. And then they clicked. And I saw the structure that was possible and necessary, really, to be a professional salesperson.
Yeah.
And it was magical. I mean, things just got easier right away. And I hired him really to be my coach, and I became a licensee of his and was just doing old school sales training, helping people understand. It was a lot of the things I had done naturally and kind of self-taught over the years, just reading books, reading Tom Hopkins and Zig Ziglar and everybody else. Steve helped kind of take it to the next level. And so I was cold calling back then. No website, no credit card, no merchant account, no drip sequences, no VSLs and, none of this. It was, I cold called members of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
And I would do a live 2-hour workshop every 3 weeks, and was putting people into my ongoing sales training, and, just helping small business owners learn this structure, apply it, navigate hairy deals, help them negotiate, help them with their own prospecting and marketing. And, that's how I got started, the first couple of years.
Interesting. So was it kind of like, I mean, for me, my sales process, I look at it like I always, what are their pain points? What are the benefits? Is it kind of similar to that? I mean, when you say old-time sales, is it, consultative sales where, you find out who is the decision maker, or give us one little, am I tracking correctly, or what am I missing? Those are my key.
Yeah, exactly. And but it's all of that. But there's the science of the sale, and then the art of the sale. From a logical standpoint, you need to find out who are the decision makers.
Right.
Do they have budget? BANT, right? Budget, authority, need, timing. I think there's so many acronyms, right?
Yeah.
But the art, so being just left-brained, Rachel, are you the boss? Are you the decision maker here? Can you authorize, a disbursement? Can you cut a PO for $50,000? Or do you have to go to somebody else?
Right.
Who am I dealing with? Okay. Yes, I need to know that. But the art would be, Rachel, when you're considering bringing in a new agency, when you're considering a new CRM for your business, like who on your team, do you assign this to? Who in your team do you bounce this off of, or do you run with it? Oh man, I wish I had a team. Yeah, it's just me.
Yeah.
Okay,
right there you go. Noted. What would you say? Like something I struggle with is, I'm just going to pick your brain here for a second, is the follow up. Like, is it, they say, oh, it's 7 times, 14 times, because sometimes I don't want to be annoying, right? We've had our conversation, the proposal, but like kind of getting them over that finish line, if you will. Like, how do you not, and somebody else has told me like, well, if they're not talking to you, they're talking to somebody else. And so I know you need to be present, but I don't want to be, annoying to them, if you will, and be pestering. Is that also just a art of like knowing how often to
engage? It's in the setup, right? One of my taglines I created was, life is too short for follow-up calls.
Yeah, that's great. Yes.
Okay. And so we meet, I'm going to have an agenda for our call. We're going to agree that, we'll make some type of clear-cut decision at the end, even if the decision is a no. So we wrap it up. I'm like, well, what do you think, Rachel? What are our next moves? But again, ideally on the setup, I find out who's running the show, that you are the influencer, but you've got to run it by your board of directors. Okay. How often do you meet? We meet the 3rd Thursday of every month. Okay. So we wrap it up. What do you think? I like it. Okay. So you got to meet with the board of directors next week. As luck would have it, it's this week. Are you prepared to present this to the board? Yes, I am. Okay. May I ask, what is your recommendation going to be? I'm going to recommend we move forward. Okay, fantastic. So, the meeting is Thursday morning. When should we get back together? Assuming, you say you want to move forward, they support it. What's the next step? I'll have my assistant reach back to you once it's confirmed, that day or Friday. Okay. So now you say, okay, let's, I'll give you some breathing room. Things come up. Let's say, Friday morning, should we put something on the calendar for Friday morning, or should I call your assistant Friday morning? Yeah, call Joe. Okay, I'm gonna call Joe. So when I call Joe at 8 a.m. Friday morning, that's not a follow-up call.
Right. No, because you're going to meet.
That's an appointment. Yeah. Hey, Joe, this is Wes. I spoke with Rachel. We met Tuesday. She was presenting the package to the board. She was recommending it. She said they would go for it. She asked me to get back with you the next day. What are our next steps? So now, Wes, this is the first I'm hearing of it. Okay. So what's going on? Is Rachel lying to me? Okay. So now I'm going to hold the moral frame here. So when I reach back out to you, I'll text you, I'll email you, whatever. Hey, Rachel, spoke to Joe. Must be some confusion. I'm not sure what's happening. You told me to get with him on Monday, at 8. I did. It's 8:04. Joe doesn't know what we're talking about. Maybe I CC Joe. What are the next steps? Okay, I'm not tracking you down. You promised. Oh, it's just business. That's what people do. Bull. I don't accept it. You're not going to lie to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
Interesting.
you do, you're going to admit it.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're going to know where we stand with one another moving forward.
Right.
So that's then a follow-up, right? So you have to understand, was it Stephen Covey, right? We must begin with the end in mind. If you know that prospects are going to ghost you, they're going to shop you, they're going to drag their feet, you got to figure that out in the beginning. Don't talk to people that are going to ghost you.
Yeah. Oh, I like
right?
it. I like it.
So, and there's hard questions you got to ask. Even if it's an inbound call, inbound booking, it doesn't mean you got to take every meeting with everyone that has your meeting link.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the art and the science. How do I dig in? How do I uncover? Is this a real opportunity without being offensive or rude? I booked a time with Wes. He's so arrogant. He's like, "Who are you? Do you make enough money?" Or, I'm never talking to that guy again. So there's some nuances and subtleties there, you got to figure out. But once you do, man, life gets easy.
Yeah. Well, that's a great reminder. I appreciate that. Clearly you're a sales expert. So Sales Whisperer, I love the name of that. But then you kind of pivoted, right, to some SaaS automation. What was happening during 2008? What kind of made you feel like that was a turning point?
Well, the same guy I was working with, my sales coach, he got involved with Dan Kennedy, who was big into direct response marketing. And I love marketing. I love writing. I love communicating. I love persuading. And I always say marketing is just selling in print. The best marketers come from sales. At least they're not afraid of sales. They understand sales. And so I started studying up on Dan Kennedy stuff. And then he came out here to Southern California. I really just went to meet him, but he was an early investor in Infusionsoft. And so it worked out great, right? It worked as planned. They brought Dan Kennedy out to get people to make sales, and it worked. I saw the power of their automation. I saw the potential to become a certified partner and have an additional income stream. And I needed it, right? I was a one-man band, 2008. I got to think through. Yeah, Ella is 18. So she was So she was one. Well, I got them written down. My wife has everything memorized. I don't have all that memorized. We had 6 kids. And I'm like, I got to make more money, and I don't have the money to hire staff. So that automation, it just made sense. I'd always used little nuggets of technology here and there. There wasn't as many automation tools back then as there are now. And so it was good timing for me. I got involved with them and I made a lot of money selling their software and then other related, competitive software, ancillary tools. And then that would spill over into sales training, consulting as well. So it was a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'm just going to flash forward because you mentioned to me about Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and biz. Tell us about that. I think when we talked about that, I was like, that's really interesting how he's combining, your love of the sport and with business. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So I started Jiu Jitsu in 2017. I got my black belt last summer. And I just love it. And people that train, like anything, if you're into, English bulldogs or planting roses, gardening or whatever, when you have a hobby and, and you're passionate about it, it's easier to do business with those kind of people. Right. And so in jiu-jitsu, it's very much a lifestyle. People are very much, they're motivated by the game. And but twice now I've been to this immersion camp, an 8-day camp up in Maine, company that I know. I know the founders, and they make gis, the uniforms we wear, and they do this camp. It's a couple grand, but I mean, it's everything's included. You can train 24 hours a day, bring just the best instructors from around the world, give you a gi, for attending. All your meals are covered, but there's 3 formal sessions a day.
Community. Yeah.
And I mean, like 500 people go.
Wow.
And I've
Wow.
been twice, and it's way out in the center of Maine. It's a beautiful lake. But the internet is kind of spotty. So all of the business owners and salespeople, in the middle of the day in between sessions, we're all in the cafeteria with our laptops getting work done.
That's funny.
And so I looked around, and there are a lot of jiu-jitsu camps, and you see it in business. So I have this like mastermind, come to Fiji,
Right.
we'll do this
A
breakthrough
little retreat.
mastermind,
Yeah.
and then we'll swim with the turtles. I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's just not my jam, And so, but in jiu-jitsu, like when I travel, I've traveled all over the world. I've trained jiu-jitsu and as far away as Argentina, Buenos Aires. But, I've trained in Maine, I've trained in Florida, Louisiana, Alabama, Texas, Colorado, Las Vegas. And so when I travel for business, just like if you were a golfer, I know guys will bring their golf clubs and they'll stay an extra day and go golf. And so there's a very strong contingency of business owners, salespeople, entrepreneurs that train jiu-jitsu. And so rather than, let's go surf and do jiu-jitsu, I'm saying, let's do business. I got a wife, 7 kids, hey, honey, I'm going to go to Costa Rica and surf and do jiu-jitsu.
Right. No.
The hell you are, But if I'm like, hey, I'm going to go to this business conference and I'm going to train a little bit while I'm there. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's the concept, right? We'll train in the morning, jiu-jitsu, and then do mastermind workshops and stuff in the afternoon for the business side.
Yeah. What I love about your path is, it's system and strategy, but it's also very human. And, that kind of leads me right into what you said in our previous conversations where you said, AI feels like 2008 again. Kind of tell me, what you mean by that.
Well, at least for me, right? 2008, I found Infusionsoft. And they were very early on. They had been around for a while, but they were still very small. But they were a leader in the space of sales and marketing automation for small businesses. And then, I think in 2008, like HubSpot was a SEO company. And then they made a huge pivot and evolved. And so, and now you just see how big that market is with Active Campaign and Entreport and all these other tools. But now, like I'm seeing AI I'm literally, I got another screen open here and working with Claude Code, and very powerful, but they're still like working on a Mac. Not many people are comfortable opening a terminal, basic, almost like it's like a DOS prompt.
Exactly.
And what's a DOS prompt? So it's still like Infusionsoft in 2008 was hard to use, hard to set up, but I needed it to work. Again, I had a family counting on me, so I would grind away. I'm kind of feel like that with AI right now. And there's a lot of companies creating wrappers at its core, tools like Claude, and people don't understand, like there's only like a few main AI companies. Everybody else is just putting wrappers on top. It's like having a Ford motor, but then you just put a different body on top and go, oh, I'm a car manufacturer. No, you're not.
Yeah.
So
it's a great analogy.
So that's what I mean. It's like, it's very early. And if you can, figure this out early, there's a lot of money to be made. But there's a lot of efficiencies to be had. Just learning Manus this last week for website. I built 2 websites in the llast week just with giving it sentences. Hey, take this website, modernize it, boom, boom, boom. Add this page, boom, boom, boom. Okay, I send it to my son. He's like, I don't like the font. So from my phone, change the font to Roboto, boom, site-wide fix. Like, and I still have HubSpot, right? It would have, but I have templates. I have websites, pages. I have landing pages. I have blogs. And then on top of that, there's additional templates for the different landing pages, and they're all separate. So for me to go site-wide to change the font, like it just literally wouldn't happen. It's like, it's so frustrating. I would have had to tell my VA, hey, go find, the 12 different templates, blah, blah, and confirm it looks good. I did it from my phone, with the sentence, change the font site-wide to Roboto, done. I mean, the power that we have at our fingertips now, and it's only going to get better, is amazing. And so, those are your AI kind of tools. And then, agents are similar but different, but it's just like your marketing automation. You hit my website, contact us. Okay, boom, it takes you to a thank you page. Maybe there's a meeting link there, a calendar link, but you get an email. Hey, thanks for contacting us. P.S. Here's a little free guide. Click here to get that. So I got that whole automation running, and that's kind of an AI agent, right? But you're building something. The agent is you build something that runs either when you tell it or ideally on its own, and so that's an agent versus, like, my wife uses ChatGPT and loves it. My son bought her the pro account last year, and it's really just an efficient Google.
Yes,
right?
Agreed.
Type in a question, it gives you answers. That is, it's using AI to look up information. An AI agent can run on its own and execute tasks,
Yes.
repeatedly if you're just creating it one time.
Yeah. I think sometimes I hear business owners saying, we're implementing AI, and really they just want to, do an LLM. They want ChatGPT for their team, where really the next step is to get a bunch of agents to do, multiple tasks. Like that's
what people need to realize. An agent truly is like a traveling agent, a booking agent, an agent, for a movie star. It can function as a human.
Yes. Yeah.
And you tell it what to do and send it on its way. And so now, instead of managing 10 humans, you can manage 10 digital agents.
Yeah.
That
do
what you want them to do.
Yeah. Would you say, maybe some people may struggle to build these kind of systems or to see, what agents they need? What would be a simple starting point for them so they don't get overwhelmed and they can kind of enter into this?
I tell everybody, start using text replacement on your iPhone.
That's a good one.
That's been a thing for at least 10 years, maybe longer. I made a video, I think in 2016 or 2014. I got it up on YouTube. People don't even do that.
Yeah.
Or go buy a tool called Text. I got it on my computer, Text Expander.
Yeah.
So these are shortcodes, right? That you can, like my email, wes@thesaleswhisperer.com. I type in WESE, it spells out my email. I can put my bio. You want me on your show? Wes, I have a short bio and I have a long bio. It sends an entire paragraph. You want my social links? Wes Social. All of my social links will get sent to you. I don't have to look it up. You want a calendar? I got a 15-minute calendar, a 25-minute calendar, a 1-hour calendar. You want to be on the sales podcast, the BJJ and Biz podcast, different scheduling links, and those are short codes, and I can just send them. Boom, boom, boom. So thinking efficiently. I've always told people, look at what you do 2 or 3 times a day or 4 or 5 times a week and have a process for it. And if you do it that often, ideally automate it. And what's the big deal? Type in your email. That's not bad. How many times have you typed your email incorrectly? Okay. You do it all the time. You'll fat finger it. But what happens if you send an email, you enter it, and you don't realize you put a typo?
Right.
And the next day you're calling the company. Y'all are a terrible company. I put my info. It said, you're going to send me the free report. I don't have it. They're like, well, ma'am, what's your email? Blah, 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 .com. Oh, you put Rachel, you forgot the last E.
Yeah, exactly.
Or .co instead of .com. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you fix that? So if you don't type the short code correctly, it won't expand. So every time it's correct. Okay. But I have my EIN for my business. I have all this stuff, right? So I have affiliate links. I have made money years ago. Infusionsoft was always very generous with their affiliate links. And so if I had you registered even 30 seconds before you bought, I got credit for the sale. Okay. And years ago, I had an assistant, a human assistant here in town. And I was talking, this guy, he was a jerk. And at the last minute, he's like, I'm going to buy direct. And I realized I hadn't registered him because he was saying he was just buying from me. And I was busy. I was a little bit lazy too. He should have been registered, but I hadn't had somebody just straight up lie like that. So I called my assistant and I had something, I forget, maybe it was the login link, but I had something. I was at a meeting. I was out in Torrance. So
Yeah.
south
Sure.
of LA. I was an hour and a half away, but I was able to text it to her, the info that was needed, because I had it as a shortcode that expanded, and she was able to register him like literally about 15 minutes before he bought. And because I called my inside sales manager at Infusionsoft, and I'm like, Rachel bought. Did I get credit? They go, yep, you got her. I'm like, yes. So I made hundreds of dollars. It was like 30%, $300, so like $90 a month. And usually people kept it for years. So, I made at least $1,000 on one deal because I had a short code, so people, they think too big.
Right.
How can I replace,
I like
my accountant, my SEO? Go find a 5-minute task, like follow-ups, a summary, sends an email, sends a link, adds a task tomorrow to give them a call. Can you automate something like that? And if you do that 10 times a day and it takes you 5 minutes, well, now you just freed up 50 minutes a day for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Then go do that again and again and again.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then you'll be so excited. You'll either dig in and do more, or you'll have the money to pay somebody. Just automate this for me. Boom, 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 boom. You're just more and more and more. And it's unbelievable where we are right now.
For small business owners that are listening, what is the real opportunity here? Is it speed, cost, savings, experimentation? Is it all of it? Is there a trap? Where are people messing up? I guess not to be, where should they be careful? I guess
there's still a problem. People can get into research mode deeper than ever with AI. Okay. You can go into Chat or Claude or Manus or whatever and just hang out all day mapping out what ifs. Okay. And that's where I think humans still come in, because, that's why like network marketing companies will always succeed. At the end of the day, we're social creatures. Okay. Weight Watchers works because that every Wednesday at 6 p.m., you got to show up to that little office and get on the scale.
Do they do that anymore? I don't know. They may not do that anymore.
I don't know. I bet they do. I don't know why they would change, because that's accountability.
I think they're online now.
They could be.
But I do know your reference.
You probably got to get on the scale and take a picture of it.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
But and that's why I love jiu-jitsu.
The repetitive. Yeah, gotcha.
Well, it's the accountability, but that's why network marketing companies work. Because we always make the joke they'll have like 37 levels. Rachel, come on up. She's been here 3 weeks. She's already a ruby, diamond, red, emerald level 17. Whoa, Rachel. It's visibility, and like you're being celebrated. Okay. And that's a good thing. Now, a lot of times they'll use it to their own purpose, to kind of manipulate you, but we're vulnerable to that as humans. We need a human being to say, good job. We want to be seen and acknowledged and recognized. And so with AI, you can get in. So the good part is you can get in there and say, hey, I'm a general contractor. I live, in Southern California. My emphasis is on, building ADUs or, casitas, standalone, units on existing dwellings, blah, blah, blah. How do I market my business? How do I grow? What are the top 5 things I should be doing to grow my business? You can get great advice. Okay. And then it's like, well, give me a script. If I were to, you tell me to join these chambers of commerce or call people with this title, what do I say to them? That script is going to be better than nothing, but it's not going to be great. It's not really humanized. It doesn't have that. And so, but they can say, hey, look at these 3 websites. I really like them. These are my competitors. Make me a website that's a combination of those 3. Don't plagiarize, pull in the asset. People always do that anyway, right? You use templates and everybody's looking over the shoulder of everybody else and, blah, blah, blah. So they can, somebody with no money and no expertise, right? Because what are you going to do? You buy a template from GoDaddy. You're going to try to find a Filipino or overseas worker on Fiverr or Upwork or somebody local. You need a great website. There's all these things. You need to hire me. I'm a branding expert, $10,000, and 90 days later, you still don't have a 1-page website.
Right. You don't like it.
So you can quickly understand your market, have a rudimentary script and a plan to reach people. You can have a nice looking website, for $10, $20, $30, and you can have it all like literally in a night, right? Get home, open a beer, start typing. It's done before bedtime. Okay. But now what are you going to do with it? And so, because there's still a lot, I'm still proofreading my site, like, because it threw in things like there's placeholders. Like, no, remove that. I don't like the featured articles there. Change this, pull in these links. Oh, I want to, what's the pathway? Where do I want,
the URL?
click here, schedule here, learn more, lock in your seat, reserve your seat. Like what, all those things matter. So there's little refinements, but for the average person, it's a beautiful website made, for $10. So there's things like that are coming.
Yeah. My big priority is for my clients is to make sure they're using AI safely and like with their client data, company data. I've definitely heard questionable advice, like in horror stories of how people are using their data. Can we talk about for a minute how business owners can protect themselves while they adopt AI? When you're working with clients or building systems, what data do you believe should never be pasted in AI tools? Like what should be really protected and be cautious of?
Well, yeah. And that is a downfall right now of AI. And I'm not hardcore data guy.
Yeah.
But when
I can answer that question.
Yeah. Well, good.
To me, it's just like, any sort of personal identifiable information.
Yeah. Well,
like
but there's the front end and the back end. And there was a company just last year, I think it was called Sips Tea or Spill the Tea or something. And I think it was kind of like a dating website, but it was like Angie's List.
Oh, and
where women could go in and rate their date.
And then was it exposed or something? Yeah.
Somebody used AI, created this beautiful app, like 1 million signups, like immediately. It was all the rage, but on the back end, they didn't have the security that was needed. And so everybody got hacked. Their data got hacked. So because it's like building a website with AI would be like, building maybe a little tree house or a little play swing set in your backyard for your kids. Okay, I bought this kit. I got it from Walmart. I got it from Home Depot. Okay, I could have had a custom, engineer come out and spend $20,000 on like the greatest play set ever. But I got this one for $700, and my friends are going to come over, and for a case of beer and some pizza, we're going to have this thing built. And for 3-year-olds up to 7-year-olds, it's the greatest thing in the history of play sets, and it's fine. Okay, but it's not, termites might get it. Maybe it's not fireproof, right? So
right, maybe it's not cemented into the ground correctly.
Yeah, I'm not building that. I do not have a commercial daycare, where I have 30 or 50 or 100 kids jumping on this thing. And if one of them falls and gets hurt, and I'm sued into oblivion, okay, it's a backyard play set that I could put up in a day, and my kids and the neighbor kids and my grandkids will all be happy and have fun memories. That's it. Okay. When you want to start doing, SSL and bringing in financial data.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know the gaps that could happen.
Okay, fair. Okay.
And so, but that's why, like, I'm working with the government right now, and HubSpot does not have the certification, the security certifications. So we have to work with either Salesforce.com or Oracle. HubSpot, even the HubSpot, right, which is super duper, very multi-billion-dollar company, very high security, very good redundancy and protection. They are not certified for DoD. Okay, so you've got to be careful.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
I make the comment all the time. I feel like half my life I'm logging into something. Oh, you got a pass key. I got to click my phone. Oh, I got to put my thumbprint. You've been logged out for, a text message. Like, pull up your authentication app. Oh, the time expired. But knock on wood, I haven't been hacked, right? I've used 18-digit passcodes I can't log into anything.
Right, exactly.
Right. But it's that extra level has, I spend an extra 3 minutes a day logging into stuff, but I haven't been hacked and had all my stuff stolen.
Yeah. Well, and I think when people are looking at AI tools, it's important to look, at the security. Is it, what are they going to, we help our clients like evaluate, to make sure everyone's using the right platform and the right security, and because that can be detrimental. But it's good to, it's fun to play around, but you definitely have to keep an eye out, I think.
Yeah, and I'm embedding, when you click to schedule, you're going to Calendly or my HubSpot calendar link. When you opt in, it's a third party tool that has the SSL and whatnot. So I'm not trusting the AI data. And even, look, I'm getting somebody's email to send them a report and to send them an email. Not the end of the world. Okay. But still, I want it secure. I don't want to get hacked. And so I'm using AI to streamline what I already do. But then when the data gets down to the data, you're going into Stripe, which is obviously secure, HubSpot, which is secure, and
Smart.
that's how I handle the data.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Wes, we wrap up our podcast with a quick little cybersecurity rapid fire. No overthinking. Are you ready? I think you'll do fine. Do you use a PC or Mac?
Mac.
Okay.
Baby. Mac.
And then a tablet or phone?
iPhone.
And then Google or Microsoft?
Mostly Google, but in the last year, I've used Microsoft more and more.
Yeah, interesting.
They're much more respectable.
Yeah. What's one app you can't live without right now?
Hey, that an old school one I talked about, that text expander.
Yeah, right? I like that.
Super simple, but like I'm super deep into Manus right now from an AI perspective and learning Claude.
Is there a tool you think is overhyped right now or something people should not spend their time on?
Cold email.
Awesome. Best business advice you hate hearing? Anything you hear when you cringe when you hear it out there?
Yeah, follow your passion. Do what you love. You'll never work a day in your life.
Okay, there you go. What about one habit that makes the biggest difference in sales?
Exercise.
Nice.
And if you got to show up, strong body and mind, and you'll perform better.
If you can automate one annoying task forever, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, I'm getting older, so there are more and more things that are annoying.
Yes. What's an annoying task? Something you want to automate? Nothing. Maybe nothing annoys you.
No, I've gotten rid of a lot of things. Right, I unsubscribe from emails. I don't answer my phone unless I know who's
I would
calling.
like to make a bot that would just automatically unsubscribe, like tag it somehow, and it would just do it.
Yeah, they're kind of some tools. Unroll, I think it's called.
Oh, interesting. I'll have to go check that out.
I mean, anything with accounting, I hate. But my wife does. We have a bookkeeper, and
Sure.
they do payroll. My wife will reconcile everything. So thank goodness she does that. That would drive me nuts. I mean, just this whole logging in stuff. I mean, I wish I could automate more of that, but I don't know if you can. Right? Apple's got your fingerprint, things like that. That helps, but still, I'd literally spend 3 or 5 minutes a day logging into stuff. It seems like.
There are tools. Okta would do that. Jump Cloud would do that. You can integrate everything. Well, anyway, Wes, thank you so much for joining me today. I loved our conversation around sales systems, automation, and kind of why this current wave of AI feels so much like the early days of marketing automation. It's powerful, exciting, and a little overwhelming if you don't have the right structure in place. Your perspective on keeping things human, building discipline through systems, and using technology intentionally is such an important reminder that growth doesn't come from chasing every new tool. It comes from clarity, consistency, and smart execution. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Cyber Savvy Woman, where we explore practical ways women can protect themselves, their business, and their future in an increasingly digital world. To connect with Wes Schaeffer, be sure to check out the show notes for links, resources mentioned in today's episode. And if you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to follow, rate, and share the show. And join us next time for more real conversation about technology, leadership, and living a more cyber savvy life. Thank you. Thanks, Wes.
Hey, thanks for having me.
The Cyber Savvy Woman podcast requires more than a conversation. It takes action, research, and collective wisdom. If today's episode resonated with you, we'd love to hear your insights. Join the conversation and help us shape the future together. We'll be back with more stories, strategies, and real-world solutions that are making a difference for everyone. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe, rate, write a review, and share it with someone you think would benefit from it too. Hey, thanks for listening, and see you on the next episode.